Sometimes our most prophetic teachers, sometimes our most meaningful caregivers are those that at the beginning of the story we never actually would have called a religious leader. And at the end of it, they are the ones who are modeling what it means to follow Christ and care for our communities more than anybody.
There are people who have been responding to God's call in moments that are dire, where evil seems to reign, where there seems to have no power and no agency, and yet, even in the midst of that, God does work.
Garrett Seminary is launching what we're calling a Laity Discernment Cohort. And what that's responding to is a reality in the U.S. church, but also not just in the U.S. church, that local churches are relying on different and distinct forms of leadership, both from the pulpit and outside the pulpit. We want to create space for those that frankly have become the spiritual leaders of their communities, whether they meant to or not.
I really believe in a kind of theological education for such folks, right? Whether or not they want to be pastors. And I think it's a mistake to think that everybody who's committed to the church should be a pastor.
When someone says, I want to be a pastor, I want to be a clergy in the United Methodist Church or in the Presbyterian Church or in any denomination, there is immediately a cacophony of voices, a whole infrastructure of resources that comes around them to say, let me help you discern the next steps in your call to ministry. But when someone who's been a member of a local church in a rural community in Oregon, like the one I grew up in, says, you know what, we have a gap in leadership and I'd be willing to preach once a month. I'd be willing to help lead this missional effort that we do in our community, to run this soup kitchen that we offer to low-income folks in our neighborhood. It is rare that that same level of resourcing and relationship and denominational infrastructure comes around them to say, let us help you discern your call.
I've never wanted to be anything but part of the laos of the people of God. I remember I preached one time years ago, and a woman who visited our church saw me at the playground and said, what are you? Who are you? Like, in other words, are you a pastor? And I'm like, well, no, I'm just a member of the church who has theological training, right? And that's all I've ever wanted to be.
So Garrett is wanting to fill that gap and create a cohort of lay leaders that we invite at a deeply affordable rate into the life of the learning community, that then also receives monthly discernment conversations with staff, with faculty, with administrators here, even with some of our alums and our current students.
Let me just say this simply. I hope, and this is really my sincere hope, that when you inhabit this space with us as a lay person, you will remember what it means to be human. And I think theology and theological education is a way to make you and I remember